In the aftermath of yet another authoritarian display by the Trump administration, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem came out and tried to explain away the White House's tyrannical moves by saying this on Fox.
Well, he was never arrested. And nobody knew who he was when he came into the room creating a scene. He was removed from the room, and yes, they started to put handcuffs on him when he finally identified himself, and then that was stopped. They said he wants to talk to you. I said, sure, I'd love to sit down and visit.
That nobody knew who he was when he came into the room. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, if that's true that he didn't identify himself, that would be a pretty big problem, right? Luckily, all we have to do is watch the tape to discover whether Noem is telling the truth or whether she is completely and utterly full of shit. I think you know where I'm going with this one.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty? How they have been.
So yeah, aside from him immediately saying, I'm Senator Alex Padilla,
I'm Senator Alex Padilla.
How could we possibly know who he was? Maybe next time he can come in with his ID printed onto a billboard so that we can eliminate any and all worries about failure to identify. Also, he needed to be assaulted and detained for the crime of trying to ask a question at a press conference? Like, I've done about 500 interviews since I've worked in political media. I've never had anyone send the FBI in to stop me from asking any questions. But it goes to show that this administration does not view itself as accountable to anyone. They are fascist thugs who want to issue edicts and spin a narrative without even an ounce of pushback. And if you try to question them, then you literally get attacked. These people are not partners in democracy. They are totalitarian thugs. Full stop. In fact, here's proof of that. This is Mike Johnson, when given the opportunity to defend the legislative branch's ability to conduct its constitutional duty of oversight, instead attacking Senator Padilla.
I think that behavior at a minimum is, it rises to the level of a censure. I think there needs to be a message sent by the body as a whole that is not what we are going to do. That's not how we're going to act. We're not going to have branches fighting physically and having senators charging cabinet secretaries.
So Mike Johnson was given the opportunity to defend the authority of the legislative branch, his branch of government, to conduct its constitutional duty of oversight on the executive branch, and this guy is so chicken shit, so wholly owned by Daddy Trump and his goons, that he actually calls for Padilla to be censured. So much for a co-equal branch of government. This is what you get when the people that are there to serve as a check to you are such spineless little sycophants that they can't even manage to lift a finger to defend their own autonomy. And that's a point that Congressman Greg Casar pointed out here.
Donald Trump's reckless immigration policies are what is putting us at risk, U.S. citizens included. Trump and his puppets here in Congress put out a constant stream of lies about immigration. So let me summarize what is really going on here. Trump has ordered law enforcement agencies to focus not on violent criminals, but on indiscriminately rounding up as many people as possible. Trump is targeting people going to work at Home Depot and 7-Eleven, ignoring gangs. Trump is targeting people trying to follow the rules and go to a court hearing, ignoring those who commit real violence. And then there's the kids. Imagine just for a moment that they're your kids. Law enforcement raids at our schools. Kids with their hands zip-tied behind their backs. Multiple U.S. citizen children with cancer deported to foreign countries, separated from their treatment, their care, and their doctors. This is not just about immigrant families. Donald Trump is undermining the rights that protect all of us, no matter who we are and where we come from. People are being arrested without ever having been accused of a crime, held for days without contact with their families or their lawyers, people being deported in violation of judicial orders. Trump also is going after anyone who dares try to put up guardrails against this, arresting judges, arresting mayors, arresting members of Congress and union leaders. This is not law. This is not order. This is chaos.
All of which makes it clear that the Republicans in Congress will not save us. They will not assert their own authority because they are spineless, obsequious extensions of dear leader. They are more afraid of Trump than they are committed to their own constituents. They're there to serve a constituency of one. And Democrats in Congress don't have any legitimate power to wield from the minority, which means that, as I often say, no one is coming to save us. It is up to us to save ourselves. That means we show up at district offices and DC offices and town halls. That means we take to the streets like we can do this weekend at the No Kings Day protest. That means we have an individual responsibility to make sure that everyone in our circles of people know what's going on. Look, we're not engaged in a slow creep toward autocracy. It's here. The toothpaste is out of the tube. Donald Trump's goons have arrested mayors and lawmakers and staffers and judges. If this is happening in any other country in the world, we wouldn't hesitate for a single second to call it out for exactly what it is. This is fascism, plain and simple, and it's here. So we all have a responsibility to do our part. We live in a country with a lot of political apathy. I have members of my own family that I promise you would not be able to name a single senator or member of Congress. Those people aren't going to see this YouTube video. They're not going to seek out my content or any news. But you who are watching have access to those people, to your people. And with that comes a responsibility to make sure that they're informed. We've entered a dangerous new era, one that we all fully expected was coming, but that is still startling to contend with here in the United States. We have to disabuse ourselves of this notion that what is happening somehow can't happen. Sadly, we have crossed that Rubicon. We can't take back what's already happened, but it's not too far gone to fix this. It's not too far gone to take the House and maybe even the Senate in midterms and usher in Democratic majorities that will actually serve as a check to Trump's currently unchecked power. But it's going to take buy-in from everyone. As grim as things seem, this is not the time to check out. Quite the opposite. This is the time to dig in, because when we look back 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, and the next generation of Americans asks what we did when democracy was in imminent peril, we need to be able to say that we did everything in our power to protect it. So that's what we're going to do. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.